Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're live.
Okay. Welcome to New Realities and Portal to Ascension and a preview of this coming weekend's the hybrid conference. It's a 2-day online seminar with some beautiful, amazing people, July 24th and 25th. You could register for that at portal2ascension.org. But tonight, I'm going to give a little preview of one of the people I think is a truly one of the guest stars and one of the people moving the narrative forward about this transmigration, I think you call it, right? Kamora Jones is a very talented, quite amazing artist. And when I saw her stuff, it was like, yes, this is my visions of what these hybrid ETs are all about. So we're going to give just like a kind of short introduction here. And then on the 24th, July 24th at the conference, we're going to go into like a full disclosure, I guess. But tell us, Kamara, what's your background? What's the series of these alien beings? What are you communicating in that series?
So thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
I'm Kamora Jones. I'm a professional graphic artist and illustrator. I've been creating art for my whole life. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, a lot of this, I have like 69,000 followers on Instagram. This whole alien expression, spiritual alien, sort of metaphysical alien construct that I'm actually visualizing through art is really kind of connecting with a lot of people. And it didn't particularly start with metaphysical aliens. It started with religion. I was deep in religion for most of my life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I was a hardcore Christian when I was a kid. And I, through that path of going through that, through my combination of my artistic development and my spiritual development, and then my Christian development, and then later on my metaphysical development, I just kind of opened up to some different energies that are really resonating with a lot of people now. And here I am, find my way into the disclosure community. And yes. I mean, it's time to share, I guess. There we go.
And being a very important part, because when I saw your particular ETs, I said, wow, that is my vision of what these beings look like. So we'll just do like a half hour, and then on Saturday, we'll do the whole thing with like their development. But so you call this ET series Transmigration? Is that what you said?
That's correct. Yes.
And yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, transmigration.
No, meaning what that means. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Transmigration meaning transcendence, meaning, there is a sort of process of what the soul goes through over time, talking about, reincarnation, past lives, and just through different types of energy. There's through different types of progression and evolution in many different ways.
So do you want to, on the weekend, we'll talk about the development a little bit, but let's just show some of your really spectacular highlights. Actually, some of the ones you just showed were pretty amazing.
Let me share with you really quick. Yeah.
And I want to also, because on your Instagram account, I don't remember seeing the messages that come along with the images, but I think they're really valuable. Actually, behind me is one of the interdimensional. Oh yeah, let's just look at this is this one of your earlier ones, or where in your development did this come from?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know, but transmigration actually started in 2017. I had a few metaphysical experiences in 2017. I was at sort of a crossroads and started having some memories, some like past life memories, and had a couple metaphysical experiences. And these two representations here were actually the first two. They weren't the first two experiments I did with trying to visualize the particular beings that I connect with, but these particular two representations were really connected with my audience. And I mean, I got a lot of comments on it. A lot of people like, hey, let's see more of those. And yeah, these were kind of the beginning of this particular aspect of the transmigration series. But
They didn't
You know,
start. This didn't start the Transmigration series. This was like become one of your greatest hits, though, right? I
yeah,
mean,
well, transmigration is not just the aliens. You know,
oh,
transmigration actually goes back, like I said, to 2017. And so
uh,
when I started this series, I was at a crossroads, and the alien aspect sort of came from this idea of maybe my spirit guides or maybe my higher self asking me, well, how can humans evolve? You know, how can we actually push ourselves forward? Do we need mentors? Can we do it on our own? Do we just need to, kind of raise our vibration? And it kind of came to me in many different ways, in my mind, in my sort of soul, and in my connection with my guides and my connection with higher consciousness, kind of came to me that we may need some help. Everybody needs mentors, right? I mean,
right.
even humans need mentors. So what's interesting about this image here, the Star Children, this is a representation of my first, what I would call my first true metaphysical experience. This
Wow.
isn't exactly what I saw, but this is definitely what I felt. And this whole
Mhm.
idea of, souls as these points of light or points of consciousness, that are able to have experiences in human bodies or in the bodies of different kinds of creatures, or maybe in
Mhm.
the bodies of different aliens on different planets or in
Right.
different dimensions. This is very much representative of the sort of construct of how I've been sort of taught, and I say taught by my guides or by the people who are feeding, the beings who are feeding
Mhm.
into me, the
Wow.
information. This is kind of how I've been taught to think of it, as the soul being sort of a unit, sort of a unit of consciousness, if you will, an
Wow, I love
individuated
it.
unit of consciousness.
Actually, could you go back to those others for just a second? I want to just ask you about, yeah, is this like two different angles of the same being, or these two different beings?
These
Because
would
one
be two
looks,
different beings. And so what's interesting about this series is that, um, if you read the captions, a lot of people, I mean, there are a lot of people who like the writings, the channeled writings, more than they actually like the images themselves.
right.
Um, the whole idea of transmigration, once it got to this point in the series, was that the story, if you will, or the narrative, if you will, kind of picks up on these aliens who are very interested in helping humans move forward. And
Wow.
so the focus is heavy on their technology and the process by which way they are able to actually influence humans, which
The
is more in like
technology,
which is in
well,
more of
no,
like a covert kind of modality. Yeah.
no, I'm just saying the technology seems to be the encoding of the light language within the form. Is that what you're meaning by technology?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, and within that, also, it's the means by which they can embed the information into the human mind covertly. And so, light language being sort of, kind of coming from, having to do with sort of some sacred geometry, and light language kind of having to do with, sort of language beyond language, like telepathy. Um, there are all these different ways in which, we can receive information, right? Humans can receive information during hypnagogic states. We can receive information during psychedelic states, during prayer states, deep meditation, deep sleep, right? So
Right.
the idea is that these particular types of beings in their culture, through their technology, have figured out how to push messages forward, through telepathic means, but also through creative means as well, by appealing to the individual, to the deepest parts of the individual.
So are these, would you say, direct transmissions from these beings as far as giving us communications beyond language?
I would say so. I've always, since I've been on my in my creative and my spiritual journey, I kind of believe that, I think a lot of our communities, a lot of our spiritual communities, and the scientific communities who are trying to study extraterrestrials and such, I think we're kind of missing an opportunity through the lens of creativity. If you're
Mm,
talking about something like a creative god or a creative programmer or a creative engineer, who seeded Earth or created this dimension or this reality frame, uh, even though there are heavy mathematics, heavy physics, all kinds of different things that could be used to, define a reality frame or define a universe. There's also a creative aspect, and this is the
yeah.
case in any sort of game design or any sort of story design or film design. And so, yeah, I believe that there's a lot more to this in the realm of creativity. And
Well, I really love them because I've never seen anything like it, except in the vision. In a vision, like here's a little being with a plant, some kind of vegetable thing, but it's like all these thought form realities that surround the intensity of that being's connection to that plant. That's what I get from it. I mean, growth.
and so, when you think about something like light language, everybody has all these, interpretations of what light language is, but me coming from, and I had this conversation with you, Alan, me coming
Right.
from the Christian church,
Right.
the speaking in tongues, or in Catholic church, what they call in the Catholic church they call glossolalia. There's something about bringing forth information, downloading information, and expressing it. And in the church that I used to go to, you would have somebody who would interpret it. And so in my case, the interpretation is not only visual, but it's expressive through the writing, and it's expressive through how the viewer interfaces with the image itself.
Right. And like you said before, this is a transmission. These are energetic awakenings, I think, for everyone looking at them. That's how I see these. Yeah.
And I really believe that, I'm of the belief, kind of going through different spiritual modalities throughout my life. And I say that because I'm in my 40s. I'm not, everybody thinks I'm really young, but I'm in my 40s.
Yeah, you are ageless. And I mean, you are a hybrid. You are, I mean, you're like a bridge to these other worlds in a way. But anyway, what were you saying? Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I get socially carded a lot. I get, who are you? You're not, you're young. So,
right.
No, I kind of, I believe that spirituality, this is something that kind of came to me, is that spirituality also has to be responsible. In that, if you're choosing to be inspired by something, if something inspires you, if you see something, you hear a song, you see an image, you hear a sermon, you hear a word by a guru or something like that, you really need to process it and figure out what it's actually saying to you and how you want to use it. This idea of being influenced by things, being influenced by images, being influenced by words is oftentimes how people are not only inspired, but also misled. So what I like to say to people is, if you're inspired by it, use it. It is channeled in a sense, it's channeled through me, but these are also my experiences that I'm sharing. So it isn't necessary for you to believe it as in it's real, but if it does resonate, then hey, take it, use it, and maybe create some of your own art as well. Like, I think more people should create their own art, and do their own channelings as well,
Yes, but you are a gifted artist. That's what, I mean, everyone can do art. Everyone can play the piano. They just can't play it well. But you have the abilities and the openness and the creativity. Because, like I said, I have not seen images that represent the kind of esoteric, alien type, what would I say, narrative that you're presenting here. Like, look at this one. I mean, this is just, and these words you write next to it are the ones that come to you as you get the images. How do you describe the words?
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, the process really is sort of, it's variable, right? So sometimes I get the words first, sometimes I get the image, but even when I get the image, just to kind of clarify something about creative process, all artists have their own process. For me, over the years, I've kind of developed a sort of, it's sort of a trance technique, a sort of trance meditation technique that literally takes me like a couple seconds to a couple minutes, maybe, because of the energy I'm connected to, because of the metaphysical experiences I had. A lot of this is a part of that. It's what I've been opened up to. And so in conjunction with my, having, drawing and painting since the age of 3, training, training, going to school for art, getting a degree in art, but creativity being the basis of my artistic abilities.
Right.
And then that mixing with my spiritual development and my metaphysical development. And then finally having these experiences that were very transcendent and very hard for me to go through because it was sort of a dismantling of my reality, right? I'm connected to this energy that allows me and affords me the ability to receive words, receive images, but through a specific channel, if you will. So for me, it's, I'll just, I'll sit down, I'll set an intention, or I'll close my eyes and send an intention forth into the void. And then what I receive back is, for the most part, what I need to do. But, I still have to go through the process of drawing and painting it and, letting it become what it needs to be as well. So there's still a very human process behind it.
But let me just like break this down a little bit, this image here. Because they're so complex, there's so much. How do these, are these like the squiggles? Are these actual thoughts that are then abstracted into this? Describe how you actually create this, because it's really
okay. So if you think about the image itself, okay, you think about the beings. The beings themselves are sort of the foundation. They're sort of the base. Okay, so what I get is I'll get, okay, we need to do two beings, and one needs to be imparting information into the other being, sort of encouraging. So I'll get something like that that's in my inner ear and sort of like in my mind's eye. And I'll just kind of maybe sketch it out on a piece of paper or something, then I'll scan it and I'll paint it digitally. As far as the squiggles, which are basically the light language, I have to kind of draw that out. And so drawing the lines of the light language out, the curvilinear lines, is sort of a meditation in and of itself, in that I can actually go on autopilot and kind of just go through and start writing, or I can actually draw them out and draft them very sort of intentionally. And there is an algorithm. I've actually tried to teach it to a couple of my friends, but they don't get it. There's a sort of algorithm that goes along with how the lines actually connect. So my particular light language actually has sort of an algorithmic structure, if you will.
Algorithmic meaning what exactly?
Meaning that there is a sort of code that works a certain way to express each line structure or each line construct. So if you look at, I don't know if you can actually see my cursor here. Can you see my cursor?
I can. Yes, I can. Yes.
So you see this. So you see this one behind the neck of this being here.
Right. I do see that.
So you see how this line actually comes down and it curves around.
Yes.
Now you see this other line here that sort of sits kind of perfectly on top of that other line.
Yes, I do. Yes.
So in design, in graphic design in general, that's sort of a compositional thing. That's how you think about structuring things. As far as light language is concerned, there is a sort of structure to how these things can actually connect, how the lines and how the forms can hook up. And this particular structure, to some people and to myself as well, has a specific kind of energy behind it. I can't tell you that I understand the wholeness of what that particular structure means, but if you look at these sort of finesse and the curvilinear sort of expression of each of these lines, there is a peacefulness behind it. There is a communication. There's almost a rhythmic sort of music behind each structure.
It is sort of musical in a way, but I feel looking at, there's so much information here. I, in a way, don't know how to take it in. It's just like someone speaking maybe like 10 languages at once, and you're trying to take it all in. So it's a training, right? Yeah.
And, Alan, that is a part of it. It's this whole idea of language beyond language. So, the thing about us Earthlings is that our languages are very limiting, right? And we have wars over language, right? We have wars over what someone said. We go to battle with each other over something that was taken the wrong way. So what if language can be so intimate that it doesn't require the limitations of words? That's basically what I was taught about this particular type of communication.
Well, wait, let me just understand that. So we're not really talking about, we're talking about communication beyond words, because words are so limited, and we affix a specific meaning to words, but what you're giving us is not a specific, it's like a range of multiple intentions. I mean,
that's right. So that's right. So think about it like this. So there's this idea, right, that time is nonlinear, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what if conversations and what if communications were also nonlinear, in that, what if the conversation already exists? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to express all the information. But what happens with us humans is that we kind of get caught up in the details, and we kind of get caught up and we, get sidetracked, and the monkey mind takes over and we can't even, finish what we were trying to say in the first place.
Right.
So what these particular beings have figured out is how to actually take a large volume of information and share it with each other as if the information itself is like its own space or its own room. So I can access this part of the conversation, this part of the conversation. I can process it. I can give it back to you. You can give it back to me. I can bask in this. And we don't have to have this such a linear thing, such a linear back and forth, which is important. But what if it was like a dance? What if it was like a song, in that the song was sort of permeating through all of the wholeness of our relationship? That's what this particular type of language is all about.
Or maybe the whole conversation is just present in this one image, right? I think you're saying, so it's like all here in space as opposed to time. We're used to having conversations. I'm saying and you're translating time into space in a sense.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And it's fantastic. I mean, it's like, it pulls us to more possibilities. Oh, here's one of your moving ones. Yeah. Is this something you animate after you do it? I mean,
yeah, this is I use a program called Photograph, which is it's a really quick way to do like cheap motion, basically. It's an app that you use that basically you can actually define motion guides, and then it does this sort of interpolated movement. It's not the most complex thing in the world. But yeah, I'll draw and paint the picture first, and then I will add a little bit of motion. Yeah.
Right.
This is this piece is interesting because this isn't really an alien being. This is more of a human in a sense.
Right.
In that, and thinking about like Akashic records, or thinking about how one's information or how one's experience is sort of archived over, through time and space, if you will.
Right. Like this is a moving Akashic record. But those aliens, and we'll talk more about it this weekend, are they actually giving you this? And do you feel like the aliens are actually telling you, make this picture here to communicate to us humans? Are you getting that thing, that kind of communication?
Okay, so coming from a spiritual background, I do believe that I'm being fed some information. I've even had a couple of my good friends and they're like, where are you getting this from? Like, seriously, like you need to ask where you're getting this from. And I will say, I've had a lot of dreams. I've had a lot of experience. I had heavy metaphysical experience. I have some very, deep metaphysical experience in 2017, but I've always had really deep dreams. I've had a couple dreams where I felt like I was on a ship, or when I felt like I was in a space where I was being communicated to. I've had hypnagogic states where I'm absolutely sure that a being is actually speaking into me or downloading data that I'm going to be able to use later. And sometimes, when I'm drawing, it feels I'm not really drawing it. It feels like I'm just kind of on autopilot. And so, yeah, I do feel like there is some sort of channeling going on. Absolutely. But I do feel like there's a bit of, sort of a covert sort of mode with which they're using because of how I learn and because of how I receive information. So I think some of this is kind of tailored for how I learn. If I could say it that way.
Like,
yeah.
This is, when I look at something like this, I'm not getting what it says in words, but I'm getting a message. I'm getting information that I have to say I don't understand with my conscious mind, but there's a part of me that totally gets what's being communicated here. So
yeah, and that's the thing, right? I don't even think of these transmigration. In my professional life, I have to do pictures that are way more just commercial and just just very easy to understand. Right. These are very much, I don't even really think of these as, they are artworks, but I don't really think of them as that. I think of them kind of as messages, and I'm not even approaching them in the way that a lot of artists approach artwork. It really is about what the image feeds into the subconscious mind, basically, and what it brings out of the soul as well.
So this one, if I was to look at this, is sort of like, how would I describe it? Sort of like the energetic birth of like a new form, a new sense of being. What do you get from that?
And so the words, right? So the words here say a lot about what this is. That being said, there's something to be said about connectivity between souls, between beings, between humans,
Right.
between human and extraterrestrial, between human and some sort of energy somewhere in the cosmos, right? There's something to be said about how that connectivity can kind of pave the way for more intuitive development, and how as one sort of connected entity, you can get a little farther than you can by yourself. So if you can unify yourself with the fact that you're a part of the cosmos, that you're a part of all beings, that you're a part of all things, you can really expand your understanding of what you are, very quickly. And so it's not just about necessarily receiving information from other beings, I don't think. I think there's something to be said about understanding that you are wholly and holistically and harmoniously a part of the cosmos, as you would be with anyone, and you're connected with these extraterrestrial beings, and you're connected with your higher self, and you're connected with your spirit guide. You're connected with all things, actually.
Right. This particular picture, though, feels like creativity, a kind of symbolic projection of creative manifestation.
Yeah, but I that, as I said before, I kind of believe that, creativity is a part of knowing, is a part of becoming, is a part of becoming more aware of what is. And this idea that there are, I don't know, authorities in our society that are so fixated on, we need proof, and we need, reliable witnesses, and we need this, we need these things to make sense. What if it doesn't make sense? What if this sort of creative journey of uncovering, of sculpting our understanding of what is, what if that's how we begin to understand? What if it's a completely different type of language, a completely different type of science, a completely different type of knowing? And so that creative process of just even channeling and understanding that through channeling, you can receive certain types of information. That's also, I think, I know some people don't think of it that way, but it's also a very creative process as well.
No, I love everything you're saying, because I love the intellect and the creativity together, because it's also beyond words. You have just a few more, and then
yeah, absolutely. I can share some more.
You've been doing this since, how many of these transmigrations images do you have?
Oh, quite a few. So like I said, I started in 2017, and it actually started with, and I'll show more of this Saturday, but it actually started with more of trying to understand what the soul is, what the mechanics of the soul are. And it was like the first couple pieces, and I'll actually share those as well. The first couple pieces were about the ego. They were about the chakras. They were about the soul identity. They were about uncovering yourself and knowing what you want. I mean, they had nothing to do with these alien beings. But because the initiative that I was given was to sort of explore and to allow the process to take me deeper, it had to start there. It had to start with asking the question of, well, what is the soul outside of what doctrine says, outside of what religion says? What is the soul? What is this entity that you are, that permeates throughout all of experience, that expresses itself in so many different ways? What is it? And in studying those aspects, if you look at this one on the right here, this hyperdimensional ideation access, this is, you could say that this is a extraterrestrial being, but you could also say that this is a human who is accessing higher dimensional energy in like a hyperspace construct, So in a spiritual space, one can ask questions that they can't ask in sort of a physical space, if you will. And so
say that again.
In
a hyperdimensional space, you can ask questions that you can't ask in a three-dimensional space.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That is,
And what you get from your experiences, what you get from that, from that space, is yours. It's your experience. People don't have to believe it. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to verify it, but you can use it, and you can use it to inspire yourself, or you can use it to inspire people. Nobody has to believe it, but your ability to access your higher self, your aspects of your journey, and from a different perspective it can really help you move forward in your path. I mean, it's important for us to really think of our lives as not just being a simulation, in my opinion, and to really think of it in terms of what you can make of it. You know, as a soul, like, what are you trying to do? How can we let's get better? You know, I understand that people see this as an experience that's going to be over at some point in time, but we can really move the ball forward as humans if we can really start understanding who we are. Yeah.
Well, this is so much a part of understanding what our capacities as multidimensional beings really is. I'm going to ask Nadi Hana to join us because she loves your art too. Nadi, what do you make? Unmute yourself. What do you make of some of these images?
Kamora, I promised myself I would not fangirl too hard.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. I found your work last year, and you know, I've been working with light language for a while, and I host calls to help expose people, you know, to find our people and show them the codes. And I found your work, I think through like a Facebook, you know, Lightworkers, something international. And I just, I almost did a call on your work, and it like specifically because the codes, you know, the codes and the way that that you have allowed the information to come through. I'm grateful, I'm humbled, and what a service to humanity in terms of our own evolutionary expansion. I couldn't say more.
I'm so glad you connected the work. You know, we're all doing our part. We all have a different, you know, piece of the huge, you know, enormous puzzle. So thanks so much. I'm glad we're connected. That's great. Yeah.
And this is a roadmap, Kamar. You are giving, maybe you don't even, I don't know, I can't talk to you, but maybe you don't even realize what incredible multidimensional doorways that you're opening for so many people.
Okay, so I'm aware of things from my perspective, right? And I'm aware of what people tell me, but like I said, I mean, I'll actually share some more of my, I'll share some of my Christian art that I did back in the day on Saturday as well. Okay. It's just been a journey for me, and I have a lot to learn, and I have a lot more to learn. Like, I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about my traumas, about my anxiety. And this is also, for me, this is my work. So, okay, so when you find your work and you do your work, you know, it can really reach out to other people in addition to yourself. And so there's something to be said, I think, like I said, with the creative journey. I understand that everybody isn't, you know, trained artists or trained musicians, or, you know, musicians are artists as well. But, you know, there's something to be said about finding what it is that you do, that you resonate with, and going through the process of learning it and finding yourself through it, so that, you know, others can be inspired by it, or so that you can be inspired by it. And through all of that, you know, we can really help each other as humans. I really believe it. Yeah.
Yes. And creativity is the key, because that is where we receive the next level of the unknown.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
These are great. These now, you said, Nadi, these, I think it was you said these look like Arcturians. Not that it matters. Did you say that?
Well, that one on the right is particularly powerful for me. I don't know that it matters. And forgive me, I'm coming in, you know, on time, but a little late from the start. And so you might have already gone over things. But when you're asking Kamora if she knows, there's this thing, right? We don't need to know. I don't know that we get to know, right? It's like the only thing that matters is the activation, and that we keep going. And so my mind would love to understand things, but the best that I can do is receive, like, beyond the cognitive. And that's why, you know, the light language and the codes are so powerful, is because it bypasses. And yet, Kamora, your work, I mean, it just speaks to so many levels. You know, you can have a good time while you're getting activated, you know?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And yes, thank you so much. Like, not your name is Naughty, right? I don't want to say it the wrong way. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. Everything you're saying is like I totally resonate with, and I've learned so much from you already. And I learned from everyone, seriously. You gotta learn, you gotta be open, right?
Yeah.
So
and we learned so much from Alan. Like just
yes, right? Alan is like
so
amazing.
Great.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
I'm just a talent scout. No, but
I don't know. You made a pretty kick butt book. You know, your book is is a great sort of primer, you know, for those of us who are kind of just getting into this as well. I'm kind of just getting into this community as well. So there you go.
And you're getting into, but you're sort of leading, because this is a community that's just finding itself. It's not formed. It's like in the process, and maybe it will always be in the process, but the community is unfolding as people. It's like a second stage rocket. We're going to another level with a new world, a new story of what's possible. So
absolutely.
And that's
let me go back a little bit. I'll actually go back here.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt you a second ago. You were just about to say something super profound, I'm sure.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
What is it?
Oh, you want me to just say more stuff? So,
oh my God. I'm sorry. What did you already talk about your process? Like, look at that. What's happening to you? Do you just clear out? Is it trance state? Does it happen in like 6 minutes like some artists? I mean, what is your I'm sorry, did I miss you talking about
just that. I think that's a great question.
Oh my God, where are you when this stuff is coming through? Look at that.
Yeah, so you've actually said it. You know, many artists have many different processes, right? Many different sort of modes that they go into to actually receive information or just to kind of visualize information. For me, it is very much like a trance state, in that I want people to understand that I've been creating art my whole life. I'm in my 40s now. And so the basis of my artistic abilities is creativity. I've been drawing since the age of 3 and visualizing. And for me, it was always about trying to understand, you know, what is the composition of the universe? Like, even from the time that I was very young, it was like, what is this life thing? Like, what is it? And so for me, you know, coming to this point of transmigration, what I basically do is I can close my eyes and send an intention out into the void, and then I receive information back. But as I explained to Alan, a lot of this is, you know, has to do with the metaphysical experiences I had in 2017 and the energy that I was opened up to as a result of those experiences. And so, because I'm connected to this specific channel, it's a little easier for me to actually get an image or get an impression of an image, sketch it out, and then go about painting it. As far as the light language is concerned, that is very much like an interactive experience. And when I'm writing, I'll actually talk about this one here.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one. So when I'm writing, you know, some of the lines, some of the curvilinear lines, you know, there's a sort of autopilot, and there's also sort of like an interactive mode. So there's 2 different modes. And because there are compositional tricks to actually connect the different forms and the different structures, you can get some really cool forms that say a lot, even from a visual standpoint and from a subconscious or mental standpoint. Yeah. So there's a pretty involved process that involves a lot of different parts. But in general, I mean, receiving the images is pretty quick because I'm connected with the energy and because I'm trained. Yeah.
Right. And there's more that seems to keep coming to you as well. Like, it's like you're on the journey, but everyone I see seems a development. Yeah, do you miss this part of the lecture, right, Nadi, where she talked about talk about this one again? You said this is where you came from?
Yeah, so this one is sort of a representation of what I would call my first metaphysical experience. I've had other spiritual experiences in my life, but what I call my major metaphysical experiences were in 2017. And this is a sort of an expression. What I basically got from that is, you know, souls as these points of consciousness, these individuated units of consciousness that, you know, are able to have experiences within realities, within different life forms on different planets and different dimensions. And, you know, it's kind of interesting when you think about what a soul is and how sort of permeable it is and how it's able to sort of take on different types of experiences, and it's able to take different types of pressure. you can start to see that there's a lot more to you than you might think there is. And you're capable of so much more than anyone will tell you you're capable of. You know, you're sort of primed, you know, for this long journey that may never have an end. And so it's important as a creative being to kind of keep moving forward, you know, to kind of keep thinking about what the next move is, but also being in the moment and really sort of enjoying what you can make of the moment as a creative being of the cosmos. Yeah.
Right. I love it. I love it. And from there, this birthed the transmigration series, this image, or will you?
I'll go back a little bit. I'll go back a little bit as well.
Oh, okay.
This was actually earlier in the series. So as I said before, it didn't really start with the start with the aliens. It started with trying to understand what the soul is and the chakras and the energy body back in 2017. I always encourage people who are going to go look at my Instagram or my Facebook. The Facebook actually doesn't go all the way back because I didn't start posting on Facebook on my Facebook account until way later. But if you go on my Instagram and you go all the way back to 2017 to the first transmigration image, it says transmigration series. You'll see that it literally just started with this idea of trying to define and trying to understand what the energy body is, what the soul is, what it's doing, you know, how we can think about it from a creative or philosophical standpoint. And this sort of chakra study is kind of one of the things that I did for my viewers to sort of, you know, get a different idea of how to think about it. Yeah.
The Instagram is Art Soldier 77, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Do you put the @ sign there at Art Soldier 77?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for those of us who have issues with Instagram's violation policies, I went on your website a little while ago. It has been a while, a couple months. But are all the pieces that you were just showing, are they up there? Because those all look new. Are they new?
These are interestingly enough, these are from 2017. So my actual website is just more of a website that I made for my art in general. It's actually a very old site.
Okay, well,
but Instagram, but on Instagram though, all the transmigration pieces are on Instagram. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
What is your website again?
It's artsoldier77.com.
Oh, okay. I'll put that in the chat.
That's just like an art website. That's more of something that an illustrator makes just to show off their work to potential employers and such, you know.
Right. But
I'll probably eventually make a transmigration website. I'll probably eventually do that and just put everything on there and, you know, maybe sell everything off of there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially the alien ones, I think that you could sell posters of those, t-shirts, all that. Yeah, let's move forward a little bit, right? These.
So I only have my whole presentation isn't actually completely done
That's
yet.
okay.
I'm going to have a lot more Saturday.
I know we have time up to, but okay. Yeah, I mean, I want people wanting more. So, but of course they can see your Instagram, which is quite amazing. And you can. And
have you guys seen this one right here? Have you guys seen this one?
No.
Oh no! Wait, what's that?
It's so fast. Oh God.
Oh wow!
So this one is this is actually the newest one. I actually just finished this one and posted this one yesterday.
Really? Let me see that. Let me get that closer in there.
Yeah, but the one that moves too. I mean, Kamora, I didn't put my seatbelt on.
But wait, this is a whole lot. The colors are a whole other dimension there.
Yeah. So remember, transmigration. If you go back,
yeah.
I always encourage people go back. You know, read all my captions, right? When I started actually doing the extraterrestrial pieces, the beings, there is sort of a narrative story to it. These beings are trying to help humans evolve. They're trying to help us raise our consciousness. They're trying to help us move our societies forward, you know, into a more advanced state, into a more harmonious and sort of a more compassionate state. You know, we need to develop a society that actually supports humans and all the other creatures on Earth, not just a society that burns humans into the ground, you know, from how hard we have to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to create this civilization that, you know, where we can all move forward, we can advance, we can make something of ourselves. And our current society doesn't really support that, holistically speaking. So if you go back and you read some of the captions, you know, look at some of the alien pieces, read some of the captions. I've managed to channel some information, and it is sort of like a story, but they're talking about the different things we could do. And these beings are trying to also, you know, use their technology to help us evolve. That's kind of what it is. That's the messages that I've been getting. Yeah.
I would love to make an animation. We talked about that, but these feel like but like a story, like a film, an animated film with the storyline and development and all this very abstract knowledge.
Yeah, that is one of the ideas. I mean, I have like the idea is that I want to make a comic series, but I actually have a degree. Part of my degree was in animation, and so obviously the idea would be to make an animated series. And each story kind of has its own sort of energy, has its own sort of meaning behind it. And as I said, please read, the words that go along with each image. Please don't just look at the image, the image itself. Yeah, I think that would be a really great way. I think it could be a very avant-garde way to kind of think about consciousness. And
yeah. No, I was just going to say, I know I have a connection to Netflix, and maybe that's the way to go. Give you a big budget and just take off. Oh, wait, go back to that other one you just did before with the cubes, because Nadi's very into crop circles, and you see those geometric formations, Nadi. I mean,
the geometry in your work is so amazing. Do you have a connection with crop circles? I would ask that question, but just a second ago when you were, I don't know which piece it was, I think it's 2 pieces back, I was actually reading. I've been too consumed with the images, and I was actually reading that one. As you said, as you were encouraging people to read, I was reading, and this one is a whole other experience. I can't stay focused on anything, but I actually had, okay, one question. Can we come back to this one, but can we go to the next one? Because that's the one I'm referring to right now, but I really like that one a lot.
That one?
No, the other way.
Oh, the other way? Okay.
Yeah, because your quote with, the next one. Yes,
that one.
The quote of hoping to break through the amnesiac walls, partitioning me off from my soul memories. I mean, I dove into a regression today, because that is my pledge, and my commitment is to pierce that veil and grieve that grief of, and celebrate the ability. I mean, this is such huge work. It is so inspiring, and so this was a beautiful thing to read. And then could we hang out with that rotating one? I didn't know they could move, and that to me, that's DNA. That's what DNA actually looks like. I mean, there is a spiral, but you've caught some essence, like some of the. Is that in there? That's what that.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously extracted, right? So I mean, you don't have to look at, right. I mean, so the idea is that DNA is sort of this helix, right? But you don't have to look at it like that. You can look at it, if you looked at it as sort of like an extracted or exploded form, right? What would it actually look like if you broke it down into its most intimate components? And that's a part of this too, is not just looking at things one-dimensionally. Okay, it's looking at things in a sort of 4-dimensional sort of mode, mental mode, if you will, where you need to look inside of things. You can't just take things at face value. Nothing is, covers are always pretty, people are always pretty, but there's so much more to people, and people get in really bad relationships because they don't do their due diligence. I'm just saying. Right. So in everything, you have to look deeper. You have to look into the components of each experience and extract the knowledge, extract the information, and you can really evolve just from where you've been already. It's not like there's this particular place you have to get to. Mm-hmm. There's something to be said about the experiences that you've collected thus far, right? That's just one of my. This is kind of what I've received from doing a lot of these.
I just want to ask you: is it very satisfying to complete one of these and say, like, just the knowingness that this has been a communication?
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to understand that for me, when I was very young and I got into the church, it was like 2012. I think 2011 I became like a Christian in 2000. Or sorry. When I was 11, I became a Christian, and I got really heavily into scripture. I'll just give this a little bit of information.
Yeah, sure.
Had a really great Sunday school teacher, Bible teacher, really great. He was a really great friend for a long time. He still is. And, he started talking about this, these sort of mystical aspects of scripture. So he started talking about, the Apostle Paul in Ephesians 6 has this thing where he talks about the armor of God. He talks about, taking up the sword of the Spirit and the breastplate of righteousness and the shield of faith and the helmet of salvation. And he was in prison at the time, and he was looking at a Roman guard that was guarding his cell, and he was visualizing the Christian faith in accordance with pieces of armor. But there was something that really turned me on, because, in that same chapter, it talks about, the spiritual forces of evil, in the heavenly realms, and the spiritual realm, and the high realms. And it got me on this sort of process of thinking about, well, what is this spiritual realm? And then, you have like Ezekiel. Ezekiel had the vision of the cherubim, right? And the living creatures. And, you have like Isaiah had the vision of the seraphim, right? And it's like, what is this space beyond spaces, or this space beyond spaces, right? This place that we can't see, that seems to maybe overlap or is beyond our current, space. And so if you think of the physical reality as, I don't know, maybe a simulated, space, but outside of that is the reality. That's how I started thinking about the spiritual realm. And since that time, I've been trying to have spiritual experiences. But once I had my metaphysical experiences in 2017, it kind of blew my mind, because it wasn't different, it was resonant. And when I started thinking of things in terms of energy, as opposed to thinking of things in terms of, God sitting on a throne, which could be a thing in the energetic realm, it kind of helped me to understand that what you connect with is how you can define yourself. And so you can think about space in terms of energy, or you can think about space in terms of objects. You can think of a space in terms of both things. You can think of space in terms of just vibration or frequency. And what I'm trying to do with these images, and I'm trying to sort of talk about that in a sort of visual philosophy, if you will. Yeah.
Great. No, I love these. I mean, we don't want to give them too much now, because we want them to come to the conference. But no,
there's a lot more. There's a lot more. I don't have everything in this presentation. There's a lot more.
No, and you have some. How long would it take to do something like this? Like how? With like a day?
Okay. So to draw this, it probably took a couple hours. I think it took me a couple hours to draw this one. Yeah, because I use a symmetry tool in the software that I use. So I just draw like one side and draw the other side. The geometric, the sort of waveforms that are in the corners, those are 3D models that I rendered out. And then to add the motion took maybe about an hour and a half or two or something like that. So I don't know, maybe about 5-6 hours maybe for this one, because I'm working digitally. If I was working on canvas, it would be a little longer than that. Yeah.
Right. But how many of these do you do a week? I mean, are they just flowing out of you? Like,
yeah. So what I generally do, I don't have as much time as I would like. I still work a day job to pay the bills. I would love to get to the point where I can do this full time, but I've got to sell a lot more posters, and I've got to get my tarot deck done, and I've got to really sort of really kind of work on marketing things better. But yeah, what I generally do is, because I don't really have time to draw these every day, is I'll actually do a sketch on my iPad. I'll maybe go into a meditation, do a sketch, and then it's there, and then I can actually choose later on, when I choose which one I'm going to post, I can kind of choose which one I actually want to work on. And so getting sketches is kind of a daily thing. Yeah.
Wow. You get images, like you're sort of an open channel. They just kind of flow into you.
If I just sit still, and a lot of people can do this. I want to make it clear that I'm not special. Okay. Everyone has a way to connect with higher consciousness. We can't worship each other. We have to teach each other that everyone has a connection with higher consciousness. Everyone has a relationship with God, and it isn't a relationship of words. It's a relationship of energy. And it's important to see yourself as a part of the cosmos in that sense. Going back to the sort of Christian ideal, it's like Christ trying to teach people, or Yeshua, I should say, is a better way to say his name. Yeshua trying to teach people that they have a direct connection with God. You don't have to go through a priest. You don't have to go through a guru. Your connection with higher consciousness, with this higher dimensional reality, is your connection with it. And so it is your job to do the work to find out how you can express that through your human body in this reality frame right now. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And your art helps those of us tap into what we have. you know, so there are, I mean, it's not, you know, pedestal, but there are, you know, there are activations, there are those who are, and I, you know, I do it in my own way, right? But that is, it is part of the giving and the part of the creation of these new realms, you know, these new levels of consciousness, is we put it out there, and then someone's like, oh, I can do this, and they realize it, and it's just such a beautiful activation process. And I know you are a part of mine, so it's you know, yes, and so.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, we got to help each other out, and so by doing our work, we help each other. You know, you're helping someone, I'm helping someone, I'm helping myself, right? Yeah. I'm helping myself to Alan's work. You know, I'm gonna go check out your stuff, right? Nadia, I'm gonna go check out your stuff. I'm gonna be helping myself to your stuff. So yeah.
Tell people a little bit about your work. Wait, before we do that, you have more of that from this PowerPoint? You want to just show people your, at the end of this show, you had like your name and website or something, right at the end of the PowerPoint?
Yeah, so there are the links there. You know, you can.
Oh yeah, this is what I want people to show them.
Yeah.
So a t-shirt would be great, wouldn't it? And Kamara Jones.
Yeah, so I have a couple of the pieces. I have one piece that's actually an all over shirt that everybody really loves. I've seen all kinds of people buy it. And then I have a couple of shirts. So I'm actually taking the prints and putting them on shirts. And you know, wearable art is a thing. People really like having the energy on them. A lot of people who follow me are getting tattoos. And so a lot of people have gotten like full tattoos, which is really, really cool.
Is that shocking when someone shows up with one of your images as a tattoo? I mean, what do you say to someone like that?
Well, I usually, you know, as an artist, I usually look at the work and I'm like, wow, that's really good work. Like, who did your tattoo? But yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a commitment. I don't have any tattoos myself. So it actually blows my mind, because I'm like, wow, that's a lot of commitment. Like, you may at some point realize that you don't really want that. But yeah, I mean, if it resonates with you, I think you should really run with it. Anything that resonates with you should run with, and within the season that you're in, see how you can use it, and see how it brings you through the season. Absolutely. It's really fascinating when people share their tats, or just, you know, it's just their encouragement with me. I'm learning. I'm on this journey like everybody else. I have so much to learn. I'm finding out a lot about myself, about my past, about my trauma. And every day really is a journey. Some days are challenging, you know, but every day is a blessing, if I can say that.
Wow. Well, you're doing what you love, it seems like, when you get a chance to do it. And
I love it. I try to do more of it. It's just sometimes I end up staying up all night and then I'm sleepy all day. So, you know, that's how it goes.
I know, but yeah. you can't help. I mean, you are being downloaded. You are, like I said, a bridge, but like a doorway more to this other dimension. And so, yeah. So the Kamara Jones, yes, Art Soldier. Can I ask you how you got Art Soldier? I guess it's just whatever.
So Art Soldier is interesting because I did not come up with that name. I was looking for names when I started my, I think I had like a DeviantArt account back in the day, which is like, it was like an art community. It's like an art community. I was looking for a name to kind of describe myself as an artist and sort of my, my statement. And so I think of myself as this soul who is trying to teach people that creativity is the most important thing. And so in a sense, I kind of see myself as a soldier of creativity, or a soldier of art.
Great.
And I think it's really important, you know, humans, there is a lot of creativity in humanity. I mean, there's so many great advancements, so many great medical, technological advancements, you know, advancements in software, advancements in everything. And so there is a lot of creativity, but we have to be creative when it comes to our, you know, our human development as well, you know, and what we can become, or else we're going to, you know, suffer as a result of not being creative enough, in my opinion. So my job as a soul, I believe, at this point in my life, I believe, is to teach people creativity, to teach people how to think about creativity. Yeah.
Great. Maybe I'll connect you with Alex Gray. Maybe you could do a creativity workshop at his place.
I love Alex Gray. Stuff is so amazing. Absolutely.
I think he'd love your stuff. I think he probably knows about it. Like, we talked about that. So I'm gonna.
His account actually follows my account. I don't know if that's a person who manages his account, but we're both connected on Instagram. I just don't know what that connection
well, I'm gonna
is.
tell him we met, and I think he'll love it, because he he's trying to take people into those higher dimensional spaces too. Yeah. So
He's one of
wait,
the forerunners, so I would be grateful. Thank you. That sounds awesome.
I just want to ask the guy on the right. I don't know if he is a guy, but the being on the right there, that is that's a little, somehow strikes me as a little different than, I mean, what's going on that you can?
Yeah, so these, I wanted to show these. These actually aren't in the proper order. These came before the current aliens that I'm doing right now. So what I was trying to do for a while, and all artists do this in development and concept art, right? You're trying to figure out how to visually describe something. You're trying to figure out the visual language of something. And so these images came directly before I started doing these.
Did you think those were alien? Were you into the alien stuff before? Or did they just show up one day?
Yeah, well, once, like I said, I was trying to figure out, who could help us evolve? Like, who could, that was what I was putting out to the universe, is who could help us evolve? Like, what would they need to be? Like, what kind of mentorship will we actually need? And obviously we're getting that, from different beings, from different places. But I'm like, what would they be like? What would their technology be like? How would they speak to us? How would they speak to themselves? And so part of understanding and part of my process of getting to a place where I could express them in the way that I'm currently expressing them was to go through the process of trying to understand like what their communication's like, what their technology's like, how their communication has sort of influenced their society and how their society's been built and what their civilization currently is, or if, maybe they're in a completely different sort of time stream where they're just ahead in every way and we're just getting that information now. Like, there's something to be said about communication, not just as a linear thing, but even communication as a multidimensional thing as well,
Yeah.
So these are, so this idea of this clothing here that has its own sort of life to it, has its own sort of breath, right? And this third eye that the being has, how it's turning, how it's sort of processing information, the higher, chakra, how it's processing information. What if these beings, what if their bodies are sort of instruments of communication as well?
Yeah.
The same thing with the being on the left. You notice that in the eyes, and I have this in some of the earlier depictions of the current beings that I'm drawing, the eyes themselves actually have sort of information that's being processed, sort of cellular and programmatic, if you will.
Yeah.
So this idea that a being, an organism, can evolve to a point to where their bodies are also technological tools that can be used, not in a mechanical sort of rudimentary, sort of militaristic kind of way, but you evolve to the point to where you can really give something back to each other and really give something back to maybe species that isn't as evolved as you are,
Great.
And so this process of trying to uncover that is how I kind of got these. These were some of the first sort of experiments of, I wonder if they're like this. I wonder if they're like that. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. That is a great stage of development right there. But I think this is just going to keep evolving as you open up and start to become like the hybrid that you really are. That we all really are.
Yeah, I'm learning about myself and everybody is, right? And yeah, I'm also fascinated in seeing where it's going to go. Yeah.
No, it's great. And you're just so open to just bringing in, oh, here's something. I haven't seen these. Have you seen these, Nadi?
No.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, the movement is just a whole other level of
that. It's like beings inside of beings or something like that.
Yeah, so the earlier, like I said, go ahead.
It feels like you've captured the subtle energy systems, that are really beyond our linear and our 3D visual. There's a real essence of how we do vibrate and how our energetics are magnetizing. And that's just extraordinary. It's with the one we were just looking at with the third eye, it feels like you've really captured an advanced way that they communicate. The telepathic, it has that feeling of this emanation of information, and it's just I feel like you've really caught you know, their benevolent transmissions and their desire to share. And it's so, it really does go to another level of transmission. I'm just, I was not prepared for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate that. This is, but like I said, it started with understanding sort of the subtle energy, you know, the energy body, the subtle aspects. This is how the series started. And it's always interesting when people don't go back farther enough because they don't realize that it's not just about the aliens. My journey started off with trying to understand the human energy system, the connection of the soul and the body, and how that actually works. And, you know, what are the mechanics that bind the soul to the body, you know, and how could these extraterrestrial beings speak to us? You know, the fact that they would maybe understand all of this better than we ever could, because we're just not there yet. This is how it started for me, as far as the Transmigration series is concerned. And so it's important to understand that, yeah, you gotta, if you're going on Instagram, you gotta look all the way back. Just keep scrolling back. You know, before that, I was actually building up concept art for a series that I have called Socrates, which is a utopian human civilization. It's this idea that I had, which actually converges with transmigration. It's actually a part of it from a story standpoint as well.
I love what you wrote about that impression there. Can you just go back to a subtle impression of a moment from my past? So it's like a kind of reverberation within the being of a thought memory or something like that. That's sort of what.
That's very good. That's a really great way to look at it. I have this impression. So this image right here, when I was drawing this, there's this way of thinking about things that I have from a long time ago, maybe even from maybe a past life or something, or maybe from life between life, as Michael Newton talks about. This impression that I have of objects and of space and of orientation. And I drew this because I needed to get it out, you know, and it very much feels like something that I've experienced. I have a memory of this in a sense, but it's a deep, sort of hidden memory, if you will. Yeah. Did
you want to just show one more? Because I really don't want, I want people to want more. Here.
Oh, that's happening, Ellen. Don't worry. I'm like so excited for this weekend. I'm writing up this list of questions and I just want to.
Good.
It's so glorious. Good. Yeah.
Well, are we gonna do a similar sort of thing where you guys ask questions and stuff?
You can go. Well, I think it's good if you go through your development and series, and then at the end, or maybe somewhere in between, you can ask questions. But you know, you do your thing, and then maybe we'll jump in at some point too.
I mean, I think this is really good. I mean, because I would like people to ask questions, and so if you wanted to have a sort of structure where, you know, we do it the way we've been doing it, and you know, I go through the whole thing, y'all ask questions. That's, to me, I think that works really well because it's not just about me talking, it's about what people get from the images as well, you know?
Right. Well, we'll probably have like, I don't know, 75 people online, and we'll take questions and I'll relay them, but maybe I'll bring Nadi into, well, wait, go back to that last one. I wanted that thing, that is that organic form within the kind of multi-dimensional on the left.
Yeah, these were some of the first ones. These are just sketches. These were some of the first, you know, back in 2017. These are some of the first transmigration, you know, visuals that I started playing with. Yeah.
Nadi, the green one that's like interwoven, these dimensions are, because after this moment, you kind of left that interdimensionality or that interpenetrable dimensionality behind, and you just went into the hyperdimension, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. So if you think of the right one, if you think of the image on the right is sort of hyperdimensional, and think of hyperdimensional space as sort of like, or spiritual space or metaphysical space, whatever you want to call it. Think of it as the space of where we get to see how things work. Think of it like that. That's the space where you would actually see, like, oh, say you were looking at how an energy flows through a car, or how an energy flows through like a circuit board. That's the space where you would actually see that kind of thing. That's the way I'm defining it for my art. Okay. So if you look at the right here, the right side, what you're looking at is you're looking at input and output sort of expressions that are going through an energy body. And you're looking at how the chakras are actually affected by these input and output, sort of points. And this, and these lines are sort of like veins that are transmitting energy into this particular body, whoever this individual is. The one on the left is just another way to kind of think about one's connection with nature, or with the cosmos from a nature sort of standpoint. Yeah.
I think
so definitely more human focused. Sorry about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I think it's a great call. You and Alex need to have tea.
Yes. Well,
you guys have some things to talk about.
We'll bring you to Cosm, the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, and they're opening up a sort of museum to sacred visionary art, and this is definitely part of that. Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I got to go to Cosm in New York, Alan. When I was there. I was in the.
I used to go to Cosm when it was in New York too. Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys are so lucky. Wow.
Well, can I ask, I want to throw something in there. I'm going to throw a ton of things in there, but I haven't been taking enough notes, so I'm really glad to be there. Yeah. But I have one thing that I think is really relevant. It's, I keep really feeling the ET intelligence through this, right? The advanced communication of the benevolent assistants, right? And getting the messages across and permeating, the veil. And, I don't know how to say this. I mean this in the best way, but I'm having a very hard time seeing you as human, Kamara. It's working and it's not working because I feel like I can see a different life form almost. Like I don't want this to be too wild, but I'm seeing another essence that is probably being brought up by your art, and maybe it's this weekend where I'm tuning way more into the influence of our advanced civilizations. I mean, I've been talking about that for a long time. How does that sound for you when I say, gosh, I'm really seeing other sort of energies and other beings or other intelligence, but it's even other forms. There's something in your physical form that captures a very ancient knowing for me. I see you and I'm like, it's just like, I know you, and yeah.
Well,
how is that?
I'm not going to, I'll explain more of this, Saturday, but, as I've kind of had some conversations with Alan as well, I am LGBT. I do identify as an LGBT person. I do connect. I do have a deep connection with my higher self. My experiences that I had were not particularly extraterrestrial in a sense. They were more like energetic. So I kind of feel like if I think about where I came from, I feel like I came from a place of energy, not necessarily like a place of not like a particular civilization or anything like that. Yeah. And my visions have sort of, and I'm talking about my visions through my experiences, to sort of kind of support that. I have a hard time thinking in terms of gender. I have a hard time thinking in terms of the limitation of the human body. My whole life, I've been sort of concerned with this idea of being sort of lowered by these sort of identities and these labels that we put on each other. Yeah. And maybe that is sort of a defining factor of where I've come from. Maybe that's the result of, the journeys that I've been on. And so I do long for this time when humans aren't so concerned with these battles of sexes and these battles of races. I think there's so much more to us than that. And I've always been concerned with that. But it's hard to express it. And so going through the process of learning art and developing as an artist and being able to get to the point where I can sort of convey it through visuals is very important for me. And so I'm trying to teach people that, you get in touch with who you are, your true self, your authentic self, by developing your means of expression. Yeah, it's how I identify as well, even as a human being. I don't identify in a way that's like, what most people are consider, and I identify in a very unpopular way. But it is what it is, and I have to be honest, but through my honesty has actually blessed me with the ability to actually move forward with my journey. And so I'm just going to encourage everyone who is on a journey, is uncovering themselves, is realizing who they are, to just maybe kind of gather that, gather your strength, gather people who support you and come out and be your authentic self. Because you're going to find that when you do that, you're going to start to uncover more. And you're going to realize that we aren't these shells that people worship so much. That's all I can say about that right now. Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, your wisdom is as intense as the pictures. What were you going to say, Nadi?
I was going to say that was so beautifully articulated, because I can't quite put my finger on it, but I was going for that you're beyond a construct, a human limitation. That's how I was feeling, whether it's however you want to express it. But the gender piece, I actually had a moment earlier where I was like, I am assuming pronouns. My apologies. And I don't know if you identify with any particular they or them or he or she, anything. I would like to ask that, but you remind me of a dear friend of mine who just kind of breaks everything that we try to do in terms of restricting and identifying. And I'm really grateful for that you hold that.
Well, yeah, definitely female pronouns for sure, or them, they, there. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, I really appreciate that. It's just, yeah, I mean, we're so beyond that, right? Like you said. Right. But you don't have to be. Everyone has a right to their experience. We're all on different development paths, right? No one's better than anyone else, but I really appreciate you saying that, because yeah.
No, that's what your pictures are beyond. They're beyond gender, they're beyond race, they're beyond human in a way too, beyond the identification with what we have called you and something else. They're bringing in something else here.
Well, like Nadi said, part of the initiative that I got, maybe on a subconscious level, was that these particular beings don't necessarily have a gender in the sense of how we think about gender. The way that they procreate is a little different. They procreate by giving up some of their energy, which is, basically what humans do as well from a purely philosophical standpoint. But they merge, they give up of themselves to create more of themselves. And there's something to be said about that as a human being as well. What are you willing to sacrifice to really find yourself? And it is dangerous. It's dangerous. You can die as a result of your authenticity, depending on where you are in the world and who you're aligned with, who you're hanging out with. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I've come to the point to where, I identify as female. Right. But, a body is a body, right? You're born into a body. Maybe, some believe that you choose your body before you come here. Right. Who knows what I'll be next life. Right. Who knows what you'll be next life.
Right.
It's a journey. It's an adventure. We have to be open to these changes. None of it's linear, and we all have to be open to what we can learn from each other. And just I do feel like I'm different. I do feel like I've paid for my uniqueness, if you will.
Well, you paid for it, but you're also sharing that. It's like,
yeah, I have to.
You're using it. And
you have to like, think about an artist. Just artists in general tend to be, sometimes tend to be social outcasts in a sense, in that they put all this energy and all this time into this thing, and people are like, wow, that's kind of like, you're spending a lot of time on that. Like, are you sure it's going to go somewhere? It's like, it's not about where it's going. Right. It's about what I'm bringing out. It's about what part of me I'm bringing out. It's about, what I'm channeling and how I can share. And, yeah, I mean, that's just like the human experience, if you ask me. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Let's save some for this. I mean, we could go on. Save your questions, Nadi. I'll bring you up on the panel. But is there anything else you wanted to leave us with?
I just like to say that, yeah, please go to Instagram, check out more of the pieces, read the words, find your inspiration, and please take yourself seriously. Take your talents seriously. Take your expression seriously, and find a way to communicate what you want to say. It'll help you. It will heal you. And if you share it with others, it might heal them as well.
Right. Absolutely. No, I appreciate that depth of wisdom you're also sharing, because it goes with the depth of the art in a sense. I mean, you're trying to bring people, whatever's happening for you, they're bringing people into a deeper experience of themselves. In this way. Wow. Thank you. And you have hundreds of them. I mean, you've just shown us a small sampling here, but you have so much more that you're
Yeah,
gonna.
I mean, it's there are a lot. I mean, but it really is about here, let me see if I can just stop sharing here for a minute.
Yeah, I
Okay.
could show you my file.
Yeah, but wait. Well,
My file
Nadi,
of Kamora Jones
Oh
art.
yeah, you collecting?
I've got a couple.
you collect Kamara's work. I collect it too. Every time I see a new one, I just put in a file, a folder. And
I have a file, and you know, when I'm talking about light language with people, it's your expression is, you know, held as an example and an inspiration for others, for sure.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. That's what it's all about. You know, collect them, right? Get inspiration, but create more, because I need more inspiration. Like I need to know how to move forward. Like I need some new tactics. I need some new strategies, right? It's all about, it's art. I'm art soldier. So I tend to think of things. I did some martial arts in the past too. So I tend to think of things in terms of battle strategy, in terms of like, I wonder how I could maneuver and use this against this, you know, use this force against this force. And so that's kind of a part of my development as well. So please do your thing. Yeah.
and
I really
Kamara
appreciate you. I
will.
appreciate both of you. Yeah.
Oh, well, we appreciate you. And Kamara will be one of the featured speakers at this event. Here do you see that? Did I lose this? Do you see that on the screen there?
Yeah.
The hybrids, which is kind of a lot of people like Kamara coming forward and sharing their kind of higher alternate reality experience about who they really are as transhumans in a sense. And so really one of the stars of this weekend is Daryl Anka, Barbara Lamb, Mary Rodwell. These are really some of the superstars. Geraldine Orozco. I just interviewed Jacqueline Smith yesterday, and Sheila. Jacqueline was kind of interesting, wasn't she, Nadi? Yeah.
It was wonderful to come in on a transmission. That was spectacular, and I felt really blessed by her presence in the panel yesterday.
So this is 2 days, July 24th and 25th, this coming weekend. Go to portal2ascension.org and look for the event. And Kamara is going to be there on the 24th. I think it was 3 p.m. But I'll send you a whole schedule. And Nadi, just give us tell Kamara what you do, because I think she'd be really interested in your work as well.
Yeah, thank you. So I like to share information. I'm like a networker, and I host calls and classes, and my calling is as a teacher, but more of a just sharing. And yesterday on Alan's call, I was reminded of one of my mantras, which is find the others. You know, like that's what we're doing. And I realized that my calls are really just to meet the ground team and, you know, realize that we're all on the same ship. And so I host calls. I've been doing it for about 10 years expansion, but 5 years teaching people how to draw sacred geometry. I teach at the community college. It's like a sneaky in the back door way to access our multidimensionality. And every call I ever do is to remember that. And so I host calls on light language and crop circles and near-death experiences and the Arcturians and the genetic modification of our DNA. Like I just like you name it, I want to talk about it, and I want to explore, you know, how much more we are. I hope my coverage is working and that you can hear me.
It is. It
Oh
is.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So my website is Galactic Rose Geometry, and it's got all my events up there. It's a fun website that's sort of attended to right now, but not fully because life is very much in flux, and I haven't been able to really access and really set up definitive dates. You know, there's so much flow going on. I'm really learning how to plan and connect with people, but also just allow for that magic and that alignment. So yeah, I have.
That's awesome. You're doing awesome work. Like I can't wait to go check it out. Like yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a chance for people to talk together, to get in a small venue and say, what's going on and who else is doing it, and let me find my people. And here's what I do. I was a therapist for 10 years on an inpatient psychiatric unit. I don't look like it, really. I don't look like a hardcore like that. But my passion and my talent is with group therapy, and the power of the group for validating your experience and knowing that you're not alone in your extraordinary capacities, right? People go around, they call themselves weird, we think we're crazy. And my invitation always is to shift your languaging from crazy to extraordinary, because it fits every time. And everything that we've been told is crazy or weird is really extraordinary. And so that's what my calls are about. Lots of different subjects, but it's all, all of us. It's all of us getting together and remembering who we are. And that's why your art speaks to me so powerfully, because it's an activation of remembering. And like you were saying, we all have it in us, and it's just a matter of getting back to it. So that's what I do.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. You're doing such amazing work. I can't wait to go check out the website. I'm gonna check it out after I get off of here. I'm gonna check it out. Yep.
Well, it's been lovely to spend some time with you. I look forward to more.
Well, yeah, we'll invite her as a special guest to one of your classes even.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Always. I have to get my act together. But yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine? I would freak out. That'd be so wonderful. I'd bring the whole clan.
Well, thanks, Kamara, for taking the time. I'll send you the link for the weekend, and jump in at any point during the weekend if you want to check out whoever else is speaking. So I should have a link for that coming up by Friday. It's up to Neil Gar, Portal to Ascension, has organized these incredible conferences, and I help host them and get people I think are really valuable, like the two of you, to add to the conversation. And start to, because we are building a new culture based on all the values you've talked about here and the images. We're being pulled in that direction, which is in a way more complex, but also I think more joyful than drudging it out in the 3D world. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
that's very well said, Alan. I mean, it's it's I'm just very appreciative that I'm connecting with so many awesome souls, and I'm learning so much, and please, Nadi, please connect with me. I would love to. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I have to say, Alan, I think of all the backgrounds. I mean, this is a legit garden. This is not like a
Is it? Background. That is a great background.
Yeah. That's my whole garden. It's where
wow.
I thought I wasn't sure. I wasn't going to ask you if it's real or
it's incredible. But I have to say, you always have some awesome backgrounds going on. But I think this is my favorite. I really like.
This is one of Kamara's images. No, it is. I had this other Kamara image up here. I'll show you. But it didn't quite.
It like captures an essence of you that's something.
Well, I have this one.
No, it's really that one. The other night you said, I know we're probably out of time, but you said that you connect the dots, and you're really one who's bringing together the conversation to that one's not bad either. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, you like that one? Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
But it really captures some like Starfleet commander aspect of you.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Or back home on Earth. Here we are. All right.
I don't know, Alan. That's not really. That's not.
Right.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
That's not what.
That's it right there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I do like some grid stuff, but it kind of makes me a little dizzy. But well, thank you, everyone, and I look forward to more, Kamara. Just whatever you got. I mean, I didn't realize when you started talking how deep you went into your process, and it's as good as your art. I think the information that comes through.
Yeah,
thank you so much. It's been a lifelong process, and so this is where I am right now. So let's see where it goes, and that's the case with anybody.
It is going somewhere. I can guarantee you that. Thanks, Nadi. I'll talk to you. Thank you, everyone watching online on the. I don't think we had any questions. No, I mean we had a good good back and forth chat, but thank you all for watching. And we'll do, tomorrow I'm interviewing Marina Sarin. Did you ever see pictures? She is like, you know who I mean, Kamara?
I don't. I would love to know that. I would love to know. Yeah.
Check out the YouTube channel. I think tomorrow around 2 p.m. Eastern, 2 or 3 p.m. All right. Thank you. I'll be in touch with you, Kamara, and you too, Nadi, Alan Steinfeld, for New Realities. Thank you, Neil, for making this space available, and everyone watching online. Talk to you.